In this video, I'm going to show you how you can fix your Linux system if your system just recently got an update and you noticed a lot of screen tearing, and then you open up your terminal and ran this command and notice that the OpenGL and renderer uses the llvmpipe instead of the graphics driver for your video card. Now this has been a problem for a while, and not everyone that has the llvmpipe has trouble, but as you can see here, this was on May of this year that someone said the llvmpipe is used instead of their NVIDIA GPU. NVIDIA settings is not working and cannot switch to it. And if you look, this is the definition of the llvmpipe, which is part of the Gallium 3D graphics driver in Mesa and does the rendering for the CPU, providing software accelerated fallback on Linux, and it can be used in the OpenGL graphics driver debugging. Now for me, this is a problem like for so many other people, and I will show you some fixes if you've started noticing screen tearing after an update. Now I do have on my website here, if you've experienced screen tearing for both the Intel graphics drivers and the AMD, and this right here should fix most of them. However, if your screen tearing is due to the driver being changed, these solutions will not work, and I'll show you how you can tell. The first thing you want to do is you open up your terminal and type in this command, and if you're opening up my web page, and if you found this video on YouTube, I will provide a link below the video so you can just copy, right click, copy, open up your terminal, put in the command by pasting, press the enter return key. Now as you can see here, the open renderer is the AMD Radeon HD 78 series. I've already fixed it and my system is no longer experiencing screen tearing, but a while back, several days ago, my system got an update, and this has happened before, so I decided to make a specific web page on how to fix this so if other people are experiencing the same problem. Now this is what the terminal looked like afterwards, whereas you can see here the OpenGL renderer is the llvmpipe instead of the actual driver for my video card. So that seemed to be my problem. So what happened was I did get a kernel update, but it also got several other updates at the same time. Now I do have some links here that for other people that fixed it, so you might want to try these before trying my solution. Now here, someone a while back saying that OpenGL renderer is llvmpipe instead of using their actual GPU. They said basically my hardware is recent, so I updated the kernel to 5.7.1 for better support, and it fixed all my problems, including the brightness and external monitor problems. So when theirs was using the llvmpipe, just upgrading the kernel fix their problem. And so if you want to update your kernel, I do have a link in the here where you can install the Ubuntu mainline kernel installer so that you can update your kernel, and that may fix your problem. In my case, it didn't. Now the Ubuntu getting rid of the llvmpipe, there's also a solution right here, Ubuntu getting rid of the llvmpipe, installing open source drivers correctly. You can go through here and follow these instructions, and I did that and it still didn't fix my problem. I have those here in case that you want to give those a try. What happened was, and if you go back up here and look, not only did it change my driver, this is my screen resolution of 1920 by 1080, but instead of 60 Hertz, which is the frequency of my system or my monitor, it's 77 Hertz. And when you're changing the frequency, it will cause problems, in this case massive screen tearing, not just within your browsers but within your like VLC media players, cellular, and any other type of video player that you're trying. So until you get that fixed, and if you look here, it says driver not available, so it actually took the driver away from, even though it's showing my device, that is the device, it's not using the driver for that device, as you can see here or here. So here's the way that you can fix these problems. Fix the problem with the driver, fix the problem with the renderer and OpenGL, and fix the resolution where it's using the correct frequency. One way you can do is you need to notice my screen resolution that I set up there. One way you can do is to use the AMD GPU driver. Now this will not work, these steps right here, unless you're using the AMD GPU driver, and that's if you had screen tearing before and used the AMD graphics. This is not going to fix the screen tearing since we're not using the correct driver. So this right here will set your driver for you. Now you can use a different editor rather than gedit, just replace it with your favorite text editor, or you can open up your terminal and install gedit sudo apt-get install gedit if you don't have it on your system. You just simply copy that, put it in your terminal, and it will open up. And if you have that file, it will allow you to edit it, and if you don't have it, it allows you to create it. Since I already have it, let me show you the contents of it. It's in the Etsy X11, and I'll show you how you can get to it. You go to the Etsy, which is here, X11, which is down here, and then the next file that you see here is the xorg config file, which is the xorg config file. So I say open with gedit, and this is like the gedit. If I were to copy and paste that command there, where I say sudo open with gedit, I'm giving sudo privileges, allowing me to save it if it is in a system file. So here, as you can see, is the contents within that file. I'm telling it to use the graphic driver for my video card, and that is the video driver I want to set. And these are some other options for my particular video card. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. If that file's not there, then put that contents in there. If you have the AMD GPU driver, hit the save button before you close out the file itself, and that's what I just showed you. That is the xorg config file, so that you're setting the driver to the AMD GPU. The next thing you want to do is you want to go into your user share X11. So let me go back to the user. So you go to user share X11. So I scroll all the way down to here, and I go to the X11, which is here. And the next thing you want to do is to go to the xorg config folder, which is this right here, the xorg config D. Now I want to make sure I have this file, and this file in this particular folder. So if you don't, instead of having me to tell you to create those, and I'll double click it to open up my gedit. And as you can see here, this tells that the identifier is the AMD, the match the driver with. That's telling me to match this driver with this particular. And it tells where the files to get the driver is. It gives the location for the files of the driver. The same thing for here. And it tells you a little bit more information. And the same thing if I'm using the Radeon driver, which is here. So what I've simply done is, instead of telling you to create those files, you can download it. You can click here to see the contents of the files, or you can right click and hit save link as, and download each of these files and put them in the user share X11 x.config.d. And when you get to that folder, you'll probably have to right click and say open as an administrator, because that's a system file. If you try to put a file in there, it's not going to allow you until you make it administrative rights. So that way you're putting this file, and this file into that folder. Now once you've done that, you're then ready to edit your Grub file. Now your Grub file is in the Etsy default Grub, and the way you can do that, and I will put this in the terminal, I'm not going to save any changes. I'll copy this and I'll put this into the terminal, paste it, press the enter return key, put my password, press the enter return key, and here it opens up Grub with sudo privileges, so it allows me to save it. What you want to look for is these two lines, the Grub GFX mode and the Grub command line Linux default. Now mine originally had the quiet splash, and I added everything from this point on, but this right here is the 1920 by 1080 resolution. That's what you want to match on your screen resolution. Don't just put mine, put the screen resolution you have here. Now that's not 60 hertz. This is the 32-bit. You have 16-bit and 32-bit for your colors. Mine's the 32-bit, so I put times 32. The older systems might use 16-bit. You have to look and see what your system is. And then if you've got quiet splash in parentheses here, you want to copy everything so that you have the Radeon support, the AMD GPU support, and the other AMD GPU support there, so it matches up with the correct driver. So you can just simply, if you're using the AMD or Radeon, you can just simply copy these two and paste it over these two lines, and then hit the save button, and then you're ready to exit the Grub menu. Once that you've exited the Grub menu after you saved it, you're then ready to update the Grub. All you simply do is just simply copy that line, put it into your terminal, press the enter return key, and it will update your Grub. It will go through and update all your the system files, or the files that's booting up that's used for Grub, and it will eventually go through there, and it might say that it's missing some files. Don't worry if it says that. Sometimes the Grub, if has a lot of video drivers that's not really part of your system that you really don't need because you've installed what you needed from up here. So don't panic if you see that it's missing certain files. Once it's finished, you can go sudo reboot or close your terminal and close everything, and then go up here and hit shut down and hit restart. And after your system starts, then you're going to go back and put this into your terminal. Since you already had it into your terminal here, and I'll go ahead and close it out. Once you reboot your system, just put that back in your terminal. Press the enter or return key, and then you should see where you had driver not available. And I'm going to go all the way back up here. This is what I originally had, driver not available. You can now look that it now has the driver, which is your AMD GPU, and then it has the 1920 by 1080 at 60 Hertz, because putting in that 32-bit was for the color. So this right here wasn't just the resolution. The resolution you put times, notice that's not times, that's the little tilde symbol. It now changed the frequency from 77 Hertz, which was not the frequency of my system, my monitor. It's the 60 Hertz, and it also has replaced the OpenGL renderer from llvmpipe to now AMD Radeon HD78 series, which is the model of my video card. So now when I go like to places like YouTube, or I open up a video file on my system, with regardless of what the video player is, whether it's VLC, cellular, or any of the other videos, I no longer experience screen tearing. So if you've just recently updated your system within the last several days, and you notice screen tearing, you came to my website, because I noticed over the last several days my website has had a large number of visitors, and I don't really know what pages they were visiting. I just do know that by the main counter, it shows a lot of increase in traffic. I don't know if they were trying to fix their Intel and AMD, and if those didn't fix it, the problem is because the driver wasn't correctly installed on the system. An update changed the driver for the system. So doing these steps on my web page should fix your problem to where you're no longer experiencing the screen tearing. So hopefully this will help get your system back up and running if your problem was the llvmpipe. Now, if you got another problem you might want it for screen tearing, you might want to check out these or some other links on my website to see that we can fix your problem. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you, and have a great day.